Most people think the rivalry between the United States and China is happening in the South China Sea. Aircraft carriers, missile tests, military drills. But that's not the real battlefield. The real US-China conflict is happening in two invisible battlefields: critical minerals and global surveillance systems. No explosions. No breaking news. No soldiers. Just two silent wars that could decide the future of global power. And both are happening right now. One war is about minerals buried underground. The other is about watching everything from space. One controls the resources of the future. The other controls the information about war. And together they form the most expensive shadow conflict on Earth. So forget the ships. Forget the missiles. The real question is this: who controls the supply chains? And who controls the data? Because in the 21st century, those two things matter more than armies. The first war is being fought with rocks. Not bombs. Rocks. But these aren't normal rocks. They're called rare earth elements, a group of critical minerals essential for modern technology. And without them, modern technology stops working. Our phones need them. Electric cars need them. Satellites need them. Missiles need them. Even the guidance systems inside F-35 fighter jets depend on them. These tiny minerals power the modern world. And for decades, one country has dominated them. In the past 30 years, China has dominated this entire supply chain. Right now, China controls about 70% of global rare earth mining. But here's the real problem. China also controls about 90% of the processing. That means even if another country digs these minerals out of the ground, they often still have to send them to China to be refined. Think about that. The world's most advanced technology is running on materials processed by its biggest rival. And Beijing knows it. During trade tensions, China restricted exports of several critical minerals. Industries panicked. Factories worried. Supply chains shook. And suddenly, policymakers in Washington, D.C. realized how dependent the United States was on China's supply chain. America's technology relied on China's rare earth elements. So the U.S. launched a massive response. A program worth $12 billion. Its nickname? Project Vault. Yes, it is a strategic initiative, often referred to as Project Vault, designed to secure America's critical mineral supply chains. The idea is simple. Build a strategic reserve of critical minerals. Enough to protect the U.S. industry if supply chains get cut off. $10 billion from the Export-Import Bank. $2 billion more from private investors. But this isn't just about stockpiling. The real goal is rebuilding an entire industry. Mining. Refining. Manufacturing. From the ground all the way to the finished components. New facilities are being built in Texas and Oklahoma. Meanwhile, MP Materials operates the Mountain Pass mine in California. It's currently the only large-scale rare earth mine in the United States. And the Pentagon is funding expansion there. Why? Because the military needs secure supply chains. But the strategy goes even further. Washington is building an international supply network. Countries across Europe, Africa, and Asia are now part of the plan. The goal is simple. No single nation should ever again control the entire supply chain. Even major companies are getting involved. General Motors has invested in the Thacker Pass lithium project in Nevada. Lithium powers EV batteries. Which means projects like this could determine the future of transportation. This entire effort is quiet, complex, and extremely expensive. But the objective is clear. Break China's grip on the raw materials of the modern world. But minerals are only half the story. Because there's another war happening right now. A second front in the US-China rivalry, a war for information dominance. And it stretches across three places at once: the ocean floor, outer space, and cyberspace. Why? Because China's military is expanding rapidly. In 2026, China announced a defense budget of around $277 billion. But many analysts believe the real number is much higher. Some estimates suggest closer to $471 billion. That kind of military growth has alarmed Washington. So the Pentagon launched its own massive program. More than $12 billion. All focused on one goal: information dominance in the so-called Indo-Pacific. So where is the money going? First, cyber warfare. The US is investing heavily in offensive cyber capabilities. Tools designed to infiltrate and disrupt enemy networks. Second, space. The United States Space Force is deploying advanced surveillance satellites to monitor threats in orbit. That project is called Silent Barker. It is a classified system, which is why it is known as Silent Barker. It was designed to track threats to US satellites. It was designed to detect threats to American satellites. And it was designed to protect America's satellites, especially anti-satellite weapons. But the surveillance doesn't stop in orbit. It also extends to the bottom of the ocean. The United States operates a system called the Integrated Undersea Surveillance System, or IUSS, a vast sonar network tracking submarine activity across the ocean floor. It's a network of sonar sensors placed deep under the sea. Their job? Listen, track submarines, and monitor the movement of China's growing submarine fleet. There are also additional investments in cyber defense, intelligence systems, and surveillance technology across the Asia-Pacific. The ultimate goal is extremely ambitious. No Chinese ship sails, no aircraft flies, and no satellite moves without the United States knowing. Of course, Beijing strongly opposes this. China's foreign ministry says Washington is exaggerating the so-called China threat. But from the Pentagon's perspective, this strategy has one purpose: deterrence. Because in modern warfare, the side that sees everything first usually wins. Now step back and look at the full picture. These aren't two separate strategies. These are two connected fronts in the broader competition between the United States and China. One front controls resources. The other controls information. Project Vault and the mineral supply chain strategy protect the hardware of a superpower. The chips, the batteries, the weapons, the physical tools that build the future. Meanwhile, the surveillance network protects the software of war. Data, intelligence, situational awareness, the ability to see threats before they even appear. Together, these two strategies represent a major shift in US policy. China's model is state-driven and centralized, while the United States relies on private companies, allies, and global supply chains. So Beijing's system is centralized and top-down. The American system relies on partnerships, businesses, and allied nations, as well as global supply chains. So this rivalry isn't just geopolitical. It's systemic. Two different models competing for the future. And the stakes could not be higher. Because what we're seeing right now is the construction of a new global power structure. Not a Cold War. Something more complicated. Because China isn't isolated. It's deeply integrated into the world economy. Which makes this competition far more complex. The United States is placing a massive bet, which controls the resources and dominates the information, and will preserve its strategic edge for decades. But that bet comes with enormous costs. And enormous risks. Because the most important battles of the future may not be fought with tanks or missiles. They may be fought with supply chains, satellites, and data. So here's the question. In the competition between the United States and China, which matters more, controlling rare earth supply chains or dominating global surveillance and data? Controlling the minerals underground? Or controlling the data in space? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the hidden forces shaping the world, subscribe to DFTW. Because the biggest global conflicts are often the ones under the water. Join Clara, join DFTW.